Welcome to TradersArmy.com, defending your right to build wealth and preserve capital for generations to come. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's edition of the Daily Market Commentary. I'm your host, Chuck Fulkerson. Hope you guys all had a great day yesterday. We had a huge rally yesterday on news of tariffs. So let's talk about what do we do when news announcements completely blindside our trades, right? How does that affect us? What does that do? What changes can we make? And really, what goes on. So if you're new to the channel, do me a favor, click the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. If you are a returning viewer, do me a favor, click that little thumbs up icon. Give me a much appreciated like. That would be amazing. All right, let's go ahead and dive in. Oh, a real quick announcement for those of you that are more interested in learning more about futures and how they work. Tonight at 7 p.m. Central Time, we have a futures introductory webinar. So go to tradersarmy.com/registration to join us. Okay, now we'll dive in. All right, S&P this morning, we are down 15 points, but let's look at what happened yesterday. Yesterday, we got this huge move away. Now, we had this little level right in here, this 15-minute zone yesterday in the DMC. Now, this level particularly was one of those levels that was a pretty good area in that we had, let me go to a 15-minute chart, we had a nice overnight move down, right? The markets had been in a downward trend, and we came up and gave it a really nice touch and go, and we got about a 3-to-1 reward to risk. So one of the things that we did, for those of you that are subscribers, you got the trade feed. The ES gave you another chance at entry, has moved 3-to-1 at this point, got the reversal, take some off the table and move the stop to break even. This is part of the reason why I'm a huge proponent of moving stops to break even. So the market then immediately rocketed up. Now, this was the announcement of the Chinese tariffs, the U.S. kind of easing their stance on the Chinese tariffs, right? That we're going to hold off the dates on when we implement some of those. And so this was the rocketing up in price. Now, price then came flying up to the 60-minute level. Now, we came up to the 60-minute level up in here, and price came all the way up to this region and then just kind of started chopping sideways. So what does this tell me? Well, the fact that we were unable to continue this movement tells me that I actually believe that, this is a speed candle, and speed candles tend to get retraced. I actually believe that this is this still looks to be another shorting opportunity. Now, for those of you that did take this short up here, your stop would be above this pivot, right? Above your next pivot. So we came right up to that level. You may or may not have gotten stopped out, depending on how tight you placed your stop. Or you may not have gotten in just on seeing that thing rocket up. I will tell you, because that level was so far away, I didn't have that area preset at all, and so price came up into it, and now we're starting to move down. Now, since we've started the move down on a 15-minute chart, I actually still kind of like this as a shorting opportunity. And so I'm going to wrap my lines around this little 15-minute area here to see if this kind of reminds me of the level that we had yesterday morning, in that price is already starting to move down. Now, if I look at this on a 4-hour chart, you can see that yesterday kept us from putting in a lower swing low, right? That big move up kept us from putting in a lower swing low, thus continuing our upward market movement. So it does make that 15-minute level a little bit more suspect, but I'd be okay with you giving this one a flyer on a limit entry, primarily because it's such a small little level, right? It's just a few points. Technically, your stop would go above the prior pivot if you jump in on this one, so you want to give yourself enough wiggle room. The Russell yesterday, interestingly enough, the Russell, same same picture in that we were short in the morning, but notice how the Russell kind of hit the demand area and popped away out of the demand area. Now this Russell trade, let me remove all these lines here. This Russell level, as we've popped up, has now also begun another move down. So what can I do to trade this thing going forward? We'll go into the 15-minute chart. We also have the same level up here in the rut, right? So you're looking at this zone up here in the rut as a potential for the reversal. As far as the Nasdaq goes, you'll see that the Nasdaq actually popped up, had a similar price action, popped all the way up to the confirmation short, but then popped through it before really kind of coming out of it. Now, if you took it, once again, it's kind of moving along, but not a whole lot happening. So if I do the 15-minute level on the Nasdaq, I don't have as clean of an area on the Nasdaq as I do on the other two markets, but I do have this area here that's fairly clean to the Nasdaq. So I would look for price to rally. You're looking for a reversal. We may get a breakdown opportunity in here. Now, in both of these, this is our speed candle, right? Would be our speed candle. And for those of you that are regulars, what do we say about speed candles? Speed candles tend to get retraced, right? And so even if we get a retracement on this speed candle, I'll be interested to see if we only retrace down to here, right, of that speed candle. And the reason I'm using that right there is because I do have that little wick over wick area. And if I just throw of just the speed candle itself, if I just throw a Fibonacci retracement of just the speed candle, you'll see that this area here is pretty much surrounded by the 78.6 and the 61.8 retracement area. So keep an eye on this as a potential today because of that Fibonacci area. I'm not saying for certain, but at least it's something worth taking a gander at. And that would be on a 15-minute time period. Okay. Next, crude oil. Crude oil is another one. Crude oil, we had a breakout setup in place in crude. Unfortunately, this breakout setup in crude just did not give us a reason for an entry, right? I can't say, hey, look at this long we grabbed, because we didn't. There was no basing in front of the level. So I need basing in front of the level to have any sort of an entry in that level. Price came into the supply level up above, and that supply level up above it just blew right through that area, barely even stalled. However, what it's setting up for now, I think, is a breakdown. I think now we're setting up for a breakdown just below here for price to continue to move down, and you've got essentially open air, clean air for price to move down from here. Gold. Now gold, I did have the setup on the 60-minute. This one did look like it was ready to go for a good entry, and then it just stopped it out right away. Nothing here to stop it from getting that way. So you talk about how do I trade these big announcements when they happen, especially in the middle of the day, and I don't know that they're coming. Well, the answer is you don't. The answer is that you just take stop outs. That's why you have stop outs, and that's also why you move your stops to break even once you've reached at least a small profit objective. I'm a huge believer in, okay, I'm at 2-to-1 or 3-to-1. Move that stop to break even, minimize that loss, take some money off the table. I think that over time that will preserve capital, and preserving the capital is the name of the game in this business. How do I preserve capital? I got to move those stops. So moving on to what we may see happen later today, we still have this little level here that price just came right to, stopped, and gave us a reversal. So while this level I think is still an okay level for an entry, the fact that we came close to it and didn't get in, I got to switch it to a confirmation. And then if I look above, and we do start to get a little bit of a rally higher today, we're starting to get a little bit of just sideways price action. I think there's a chance that if we see the S&P fall, then we can see this rise. But I'm not willing to short it up in here in the area that was that old area of support to become resistance. All right, moving over to our bonds and currency markets, we see very much similar effect yet in that market as in the others. However, the currency markets, we're not seeing the same gigantic move that we saw in the equities. So in the bonds, nothing to see here. Move along, still just chopping sideways and in between our major levels. If you wanted to try to take a little breakout to the upside, you may get that, but there's not. We're still in between our levels of demand and supply. Inside the Aussie, so the Aussie, we got the rally up, came to, right to our breakout area and then fell away. Now this one was a confirmation short, which means we came close to it and then blew through it before really getting any sort of an entry, but we're coming down hard in the overnights. So keep an eye on this. This is the area down below that we had talked about for a potential breakout. Keep an eye to see if we get some basing in front of this level. Basing in front of this level will still create this to be a breakdown opportunity. And when I move this to a 15-minute chart, we have a really nice level up in here. I'm not sure if we're going to get a shot to get back in on this one, but a really good level up in here for a potential reversal. In the euro, we were looking at this area up here for, we're still in between our levels of demand and supply. I got a text from a good friend yesterday asking about a breakout, and we came close to a potential breakout above here, but we never really did follow through on that. And then down below, were we setting up for a bit of a breakdown, we never did get below this lower wick as well. So you gotta get beyond some of those extreme wicks in order for that breakdown to be active. We were chopping along sideways yesterday, got a little bit of a move down, but not enough to really hold through, right? So, and we're still in between our areas of demand and supply, right? So when you're between your areas, that's when it's hardest to trade breakouts. So we're still in between areas, and there's not a whole lot in there to do. Canadian dollar, we did get a little bit of a move down into this one. This breaking through actually deactivates the confirmation long, and then of course that's where we bounced right up from. But it's going to make that one an unusable zone. And now on a 15-minute chart, we see very similar to what we're seeing in some of the other markets out there. However, this one is a lot more, basing inside of here. Be aware of this little wick over wick area here where we may get a bit of a reversal. I'm not going to add anything to it today. As I just kind of look at this overall, I think you're better off on a breakdown from this point on this one, and we may still get a little bit of a move down from here on a breakdown. Great British Pound, Japanese Yen. Inside of the pound, what we saw yesterday was very similar price action to the other currencies, and we are getting a little bit of building a little bit of a lower base here, right? This is a good base that we're building inside of here, and the fact that this supply was unable to create a new low, I think we're going to break this thing up a little bit. I think we're going to see a little bit of strength coming in. And the strength that we see coming in may cause price to thrust a bit higher from this level. So we are technically still in a downward trend, but the downward trend that we're in, I think that you'd be better off to see a breakout above this area. Inside the Japanese yen, now certainly here was that same announcement that we had yesterday. Didn't come to any of the levels that we had prescribed or set up ahead of time, but we definitely saw a very big move away. I think that this, if we get basing in front of here, once again, we've got room to run back up to this side. So that's all I have for today. Remember, tonight's webinar, 7 o'clock Central. Love to have you join us, tradersarmy.com/registration. I know we went a little bit longer today, but I wanted to explain some of those zones. If you got any questions, send us an email, support@tradersarmy.com. We'll see you soon. Later.